Hello and welcome. My name is Meepolis, they, she, he, and this is Literally Graphic. And today we are looking at Far Sector by N.K. Jemisin and Jamal Campbell. This limited series was originally published between 2020 and 2021 by DC's pop-up imprint Young Animal. Content notes for emotional control, violence against civilians, murder, oppression, and prison. A difficult person to summarize quickly. According to her website, quote, Nora K. Jemisin is a New York Times bestselling author of speculative fiction, short stories, and novels, who lives and writes in Brooklyn, New York. In 2018, she became the first author to win 3 Best Novel Hugos in a row. She has also won a Nebula Award, 2 Locus Awards, and is a recipient of the MacArthur Genius Fellowship. I have previously incredibly enjoyed her Broken Earth trilogy, as well as her urban fantasy novel, The City We Became. I'm working through her back catalog and new releases slowly but surely. Jamal Campbell, on the other hand, was new to me, but I felt immediately drawn to his work. According to his Twitter profile, he's working out of Canada and has done work for DC, Marvel, and Boom. Campbell also has a webcomic named The Immortal Nadia Green. Taking our brief aside, today's Black booktuber I wish to highlight is Shay of Hey It's Shay. Link in the cards. A channel I think I've been following for about a year. I always find their thoughts to be very interesting and engaging. I also like how they organize their thoughts into thematic videos. And I also appreciate the way they talk about how blackness and booktube/reading intersect and push people, myself included, to really consider what we're doing and do better. Yeah, definitely highly recommend. What keywords came to mind reading this trade? Control, justice, color story, occupation, muscles, and science fiction. The synopsis is, quote, for the past 6 months, newly chosen Green Lantern Sojourner Joe Mullein has been protecting the city enduring, a massive metropolis of 20 billion people. The city has maintained peace for over 500 years by stripping its citizens of their ability to feel. As a result, violent crime is virtually unheard of, and murder is nonexistent. End quote. It's hard to pick, but I am leaning a bit more towards the art being the most standout part of this collection. It's simply spectacular, which is not easy to do for the Big 2 system of release. But not only is the rendering technically proficient, but there's also an extreme attention to the page layouts, and even the color palettes really shine. The character designs hit a really striking note of futuristic and timely that people often miss. This is not to say that the writing lacked at all. Jemisin continues to impress me, and not just because she wrote a good story, but because she wrote something that felt like a great Green Lantern story that doesn't seem to require much Green Lantern specific knowledge. It also felt less wordy than many novelists writes their first comic books do. I'm generally not the biggest fan of anyone that thinks that systematically repressing emotions is at all helpful, and it generally doesn't feel like it's handled properly, which is one of the most frustrating parts of slowly becoming a Trekkie over the last decade. Why suppressing emotions would reduce crime, I don't know. I didn't realize that the majority of crime in the world was feelings-based. But thankfully the angle the story takes, with the main thrust being pro-emotions, it didn't bug me in the same way. Not the biggest Green Lantern fan, I've mostly come in contact with them via my interest in the Green Arrow. As such, my general impression of Green Lantern is that they lean a bit heavy on the law and order, which is certainly a thread present in this collection, but much like the Green Lantern Green Arrow team-up, this book presents a lot of questions to Joe, who has a background on the law and order side of things. It was interesting to see Joe working through being in an alien world and figuring out what justice meant in this instance and how it might or might not relate to law and order. I am a bit disappointed with myself. I've been very tired of late, and so it has been hard to fully engage on all cylinders. But going through the motions also helps me feel like I'm doing something and does fill me with better feelings than not. So I hope even the simple and late thoughts inspire some of you to pick up this book. As I've already mentioned a couple of times, this is March's book for the Realm of Comics group read, so there's plenty of other opinions out there to be had. The representation of characters felt pretty diverse across the board. Issues of race were probably the most prominent, thinking about questions we are dealing with now through the power relationships of different alien races to each other. Although I would be quick to point out, in a much less heavy-handed way than my word choice might imply, it didn't feel like a very special episode or preachy or anything, while still obviously coming to conclusions that support equity and autonomy. There may have been some class elements, but my brain didn't register. But based off of what I do remember, I would say that class, as usual, could have used more representation. Same with inclusion of disability representation. Still a book I'm glad I went out of my way to pick up, and a book I plan on reading again. 4 out of 5 stars. Bye all, keep reading An Organized End Capitalist Oppression. And as always, Literally Graphic is created on land that should be given back to the traditional landholders, which in this case is, to my knowledge, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, Anishinaabe people, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat Nation.